Some of you out there may be missing that feeling of playing a really great MMO for the first time, testing the classes and finding out the perfect one for you, getting that amazing rare drop from a raid or a dungeon, or just experiencing an amazing boss fight in a raid or something like that for the first time. As of late, the MMO genre hasn't been in the best place, with only really Final Fantasy XIV carrying the whole genre, but it begs the question, what if Final Fantasy XIV isn't for you, or you're just looking for something new? So we thought it would be a good time to take a look at some of the prospects from the upcoming MMOs that are currently in development. This will of course not be all of them, but it's the ones that we think have good possible potential. If you have any additional MMO projects that you think would be a good fit for the community, then please share down below in the comments. But before you do, I also want to know what your first MMO ever that you played was and what class you picked. For me, I have fond memories of the original Guild Wars 1 where I played a Necromancer and then later on a Ranger. That was my first MMO and I went on to play many more since, and it definitely has a special place for me. So if you do enjoy videos like this, definitely show support by clicking like down below because it does help, and subscribe and click the bell because we have so much content planned every single day for you guys that you definitely don't want to miss. First up, let's go over Riot's new MMO, which has the most potential to be absolutely awesome and probably is one of the ones we're most excited for in this list, but it's also super light on actual details in terms of the game itself. It was first announced back in 2020 and there haven't been any major news drops since, but the developers have been drip feeding on Twitter with what we can expect. We know the game will be centered around the world of Runeterra, which is the same universe that League of Legends and the Netflix Arcane series is set in. We know that the MMO was in development for a while even before the 2020 announcement, and most places are speculating a 2024 release for this title. They have confirmed that there will be endgame raids, which for us is absolutely fantastic sounding, as we think it is a vital part of endgame for MMORPGs like this, and some recent ones have completely skipped this in terms of their endgame content, so that will be good news. Here's what the head of MMO at Riot, Greg Street, has to say about the endgame content in this upcoming MMO. I don't want to get into specific features yet, especially not just over Twitter like this, but anyone that knows me from my WoW dev days would know that I love dungeons and raids as a player. It is always promising when a developer with MMO experience is aiming in the right direction, and it definitely sounds like Greg knows what MMO players will want for the endgame. He's also confirmed that the game will have traditional RPG elements. He says it will almost certainly have RPG systems like stats, gear, and dungeons. We're not ready to talk just yet about how much it is or is not like other games out there. What defines an RPG can be a bit academic in nature, but I call it an RPG. So while there isn't much more information to go off at the moment, the prospect of a Riot MMO is very appealing to us, but only time will tell how it turns out, as Riot does have a track record of carving out their own space within existing game genres. Within the actual world of Runeterra, there are large areas and different continents with different factions, different races. There is so much potential for this one. There could be a really fantastic map with multiple continents, multiple different starting zones depending on your race and faction, so there is so much that could be done and we are very hopeful. Next up, we have a game that some of you may have been following for a little while, and that is Blue Protocol. It's an amazing looking anime MMO from Bandai Namco. Until recently, information on the game has gone quiet as the development team want to focus their efforts on implementing the feedback from some of the game's early betas. The game is a PvE focused MMO where players are able to select from different classes, such as an Aegis fighter and twin striker. Unlike other MMOs, in Blue Protocol you can farm for materials to craft gear, similar to how Monster Hunter works rather than drops in traditional MMOs. But we do know that all microtransactions will be cosmetic only. While the game hasn't been confirmed for global release, the developers have been dropping big hints via blog posts, such as this one where they say, "I want to make it a game loved and treasured by online gamers all over the world. This is why we need to seriously aim for the world market. We cannot make any compromises." The thing is, if this does actually release in the West, it could be massive, since it is a little similar to Genshin in that it is an anime MMO. Now we're going to change the pace and have something a little bit different. We all know in early 2020 that Animal Crossing took over the world, but it was lacking in social features and MMO elements, and that's where Palia aims to fill the gap. It's being developed by ex-Riot and Blizzard developers and is an open-world community-based MMO where players can build their own lifestyle similar to in Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing. You'll have to forge, fish, mine, and build to make your neighborhood the way you want it to be, but also adventure outside of the safety of your village and battle things like wolves. This one could be a nice chill game to boot up with friends where you don't want to have to try hard like like you do in some other MMOs. The game is currently in alpha testing, so if you want to sign up, you can head over to the official page. Next is Throne and Liberty. This is more of a traditional MMO on the list, and it's aiming to mix things up by keeping the gameplay fresh for players by having objectives for the player to do outside of normal MMO gear power creeping and grinding, and players' abilities being able to interact with the environment by causing things like eclipses or other effects. It's being developed by NCSoft, the publishers behind Guild Wars 2 and Lineage. It was originally meant to be the next-gen version of Lineage, but it has since been spun off into a new IP entirely, as they have added a lot of gameplay changes, such as abilities for the player to change into animals. It's going to release for both PC and console, and has a scheduled release date of 2023, so hopefully we'll get to try it out in the beta next year and see how it plays. Out of all of the projects within this list, Ashes of Creation definitely seems to be one that the MMO community is backing the most, as it aims to please a large cross-section of players, including PvE, PvP, and RP elements. The unique thing about Ashes of Creation is that it implements a node system whereby players' actions within the world will actually change the world itself by adding in different tiers of towns, villages, and cities. The node system will mean that every server will actually look and play differently based on what types of players, guilds, and factions contribute most to different areas of the map, giving access to different content like specific raids, quests, and dungeons that are locked behind certain levels of the nodes and cities within different areas of the map. Interestingly, the game is aiming to mix player-driven content and developer-made content into a sandbox theme park MMO. There are currently 8 classes to choose from, and the game will have a hybrid combat system of both action and traditional tab targeting, so players should have a great time mixing and matching how they want to play. The game doesn't have a release date at the moment and has been in development since 2017. In 2021 though, it had an alpha, and players are eagerly awaiting the second alpha test yet to come. So if you found any of these MMOs interesting, tell us in the comments which one you're excited to play first, or if you know of any other MMOs that you think we should be aware of. Definitely click like if you found out something new in this video, and click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss out on all of the content we have planned for you guys, which there's plenty in the works coming soon that you don't want to miss. The 2 videos on screen now we think you might really enjoy if you found this one interesting, helpful, or learned something new. You don't have to, but if you have watched this one to the end, you might want to check one of these ones out on screen, because they're probably going to interest you as well. After you watch though, definitely tell us what you think in the comments down below.